underneath you and just kind of rock side to side so you can feel your sitting bones underneath you. And then find a comfortable sitting position where you feel both of your sitting bones, and place your hands into your lap or on your thighs. And as you soften your gaze or close your eyes, keep your chin level with the earth. Roll your shoulders back. And as you allow your attention to rest in the space behind your eyes, start to soften the muscles all in your face, the space in between your eyebrows, your cheekbones and jaw. And as you allow the surging flow of breath to pour into your chest and belly, allow your belly to be soft right now. There will be plenty of times where we will engage, and I will cue you to have a strong and tight core. But for now, just be relaxed. Notice the cadence or rhythm of your breath and your body here, as we remain still and calm for just a little while longer. Let's take about 3 or so rounds of breath here. Continue to soften the tops of your shoulders away from your earlobes. And listen to the sound of your breath as it echoes through your body. And whenever you're ready, just blink open your eyes. And so we're going to start in a cross-legged position, but I'm going to be specific about which shin I'd like in front. So cross your left shin in front of your right. So you might just have to switch, and we will switch back, okay? Just so that we are going to be doing this a little bit more deliberately. Okay? So your shins are about parallel towards the front of your mat, and your left shin is in front. And just note that I'm going to mirror you here. Take your right hand out to the right, and then sweep your left arm up and overhead. And take a side bend. Keep your right finger pads tented down. And as you press them down, lift your left arm up towards the space where the wall meets the ceiling. And then start to rotate your torso up and gaze underneath your upper arm. Anchor your left hip down as you roll your shoulder back. So we're going to take the side bend one step further. You can gaze towards the front of the room or towards the screen. Take your left hand, that's the hand that's elevated, clasp behind the nape of your neck, like you were leaning back. Good. And then roll your bicep in, and then press the back of your head back, and then gaze up towards your elbow. You're going to feel this hollowing out or a scooping up of your armpit. Keep scooping underneath your armpit as you anchor your right fingertips down. Release the back of your head and raise your left arm up. And as you exhale, sweep your left arm forward and down at a diagonal. Slide your right finger pads next to your left, so you're sort of at an angle here towards the top right corner of your mat. Stretch as far forward as you can, unless you feel your sitting bones lift, and then you've gone too far. So keep your sitting bones anchored, reach forward, and then soften your palms, and then maybe your elbows and forearms come down. Just pause and breathe here. You might start to notice an activation along the outside of your left hip and maybe your outer glute. Okay, keep your fingers tented and just start to roll all the way up. Okay. So my guess is that your feet were relaxed, and that's totally fine, because now I want you to flex them. And then walk your feet towards the left and the right. So you're a little bit more crossed. Good. And now take your left shin. That's the shin that you have in front. And I want you to slide it forward so that your shin is at about a 45-degree angle away from you. So that you can actually even see the bottom of my foot in this screen. Walk your sitting bones back slightly. And then start to slide your fingertips forward. And you'll start to notice this activation along the outside of your left leg, and that's your IT band. And don't feel any pressure that you have to collapse into this shape. And in fact, I'd like you to feel like you are just lengthening your spine forward, like your heart were being pulled forward towards the front of the room. Remain calm. Start to walk your fingertips back towards you. Lean back slightly, and then just switch the cross of your legs so that now your right shin will be in front of your left. And again, you can relax your feet here while we're in this cross-legged position, but still sit up tall so that your spine is stacked. And then your left hand will reach out to the left, sweep your right arm up and overhead. And we'll start with this side bend. So tent your left fingertips down and then reach up and overhead. And again, don't collapse into this shape, right? We're gonna reach up and over to create this maximum length along our right side body. And then rotate your torso up and gaze underneath your upper arm. And we'll keep our right arm active here before we take that clasping of the back of our head. Now, take your right hand, that's the hand that's lifted, clasp the nape of your neck, roll your bicep in, and then now lean the back of your head into your palm. So you lift your elbow up, and then now gaze at your right elbow. And feel as though you were hollowing out your armpit here. Let's take another round of breath or two. Okay, release the back of your head. Raise your right arm up. And as you exhale, sweep your right arm forward and down at a diagonal. Slide your left hand right next to your right. And then now soften your palms and perhaps your elbows and forearms come down. And so as we take this side forward fold, notice what's happening along the outside of your right hip and glute. The weight of your knee will start to open up all along the outside of your hip. And slowly walk your hands towards you and roll up. And then now flex your feet and then walk your feet towards the right and the left. Good. And then slide your right shin forward at about a 45-degree angle. And keep flexing the foot so that if I were to look at the screen and you were actually there, I could see the bottom of your foot. Good. And then slide your fingertips forward and make sure that your pelvis is tilting forward as you reach. And then keep drawing your heart forward and then maybe even gazing forward slightly. And breathe into the outside of your right leg, especially your IT band. That's what you feel here in this moment. And slowly roll all the way up. And then lean back and then uncross your legs and straighten them so that you can kind of do this shaking out of your legs. So kind of lightly tap the backs of your knees against your mat. Okay. Bend your knees and bring your heels to one side, and then we'll all come to a hands and knees position or tabletop. Okay, so in this moment, if you are on a hardwood surface like we are in this room, a blanket might be helpful for your knees. There will be places where a blanket will be much more helpful than others, and I will make sure I cue that, okay? So you choose if you want the blanket underneath your knees or not, because I acknowledge some of you are on a carpet, so you might not need it. Okay. And so from here, tuck all 10 of your toes and make sure that your thigh bones are perpendicular to the earth. And then pull your tailbone back and the crown of your head forward for a long spine and draw your lower ribs in. On your next inhale, tip your sitting bones up, soften your belly down and pull your heart forward. And as you exhale, press into your hands, knees, and toes. And as you lift the back of your heart up, gaze behind you in between your thigh bones. And so just keep going at your own breath. Inhale for this cow spine, arching and looking forward. And then exhale, rounding in. Let's do this 2 more times on your own. And whenever you complete your next round, we'll all meet in a neutral tabletop. On your next inhale, come to that neutral tabletop. And then just bring your knees and toes a little bit closer to one another. Okay. And then from here, extend your right toes behind you. Keep your left toes tucked for stability. Okay. And then now from here, bend your right knee, almost like you were hugging your right heel in towards your glute. Notice what just happened with your rib cage. So keep drawing your lower ribs in and then zipping your pubic bone towards your navel. Keep gazing forward, unclench your jaw. And now we're just gonna gently pulse. Pulse your right foot up, maybe 1 inch, and then return back. Do that 2 more times. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Now this time as you lift, gaze forward. Exhale, now bring your knee and your nose towards one another. Round your spine like you are curling in. Inhale, press your right foot back behind you for a half spinal balance and pause. Flex your right foot and dial all 5 toes to point down towards your mat. Take your left hand and place it on your heart and continue to gaze forward. And then press your left fingertips forward. Beautiful. And remain calm here. And see if you can press your left fingertips forward and your right heel back. 1 more complete round of breath. Lower your left palm and tuck your right knee underneath you. And then tuck your right toes, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. So press your left foot back behind you. And then now bend your left knee like you can make a footprint against the ceiling with your left foot. Before we move, draw your low ribs in so that your belly can support you. And then 3 pulsations, lifting your left foot up, maybe 1 inch, and then returning down. So you feel this activation in your glutes. Lift up and then lower. So maybe the movement is so small that we can't even see it, but enough that you can feel it. This time as you lift, pause, and then exhale, bring your left knee in and then curl your nose to meet your kneecap. Inhale, press your left foot back behind you. Now flex your left foot completely so that all 5 toes, especially the pinky toe, points down. Take your right hand and place it against your heart. Gaze forward and then press your right hand forward. And I always use that cue, press, because I want you to feel like your hand was moving through honey. So it's this deliberate action of reaching forward with the right hand and the left foot pressing back behind you. 1 more round of breath. Place your right hand down and tuck your left knee underneath you. Okay, so from here, just start to scoot your way towards the back of the mat slightly, like a backwards crawl. Okay, so from here, walk your hands back towards your kneecaps slightly, and then pick up your knees, and you're gonna come to a forward fold at the back of your mat. So start to straighten your legs, feet about hips width distance apart, and keep your knees bent more than you think you need to. Allow your belly to rest on your thigh and use the leverage of pressing your feet down, raising your sitting bones up, and bringing the crown of your head towards your mat. And you can clasp opposite elbow points here with your hands. And take one complete round of breath, just like this. Release your elbows if you have them, and take 2 to 3 rounds of breath to slowly roll up. Lead with the back of your heart and allow the crown of your head to rise last. And once your torso is vertical, then there's no rush to get there. Sweep your arms forward and up. And then exhale, swivel your hands on top of your heart and soften your gaze or close your eyes. And while we're still for just a moment, get acclimated to standing up tall on your feet. Release your hands by your sides and blink open your eyes. Okay, so this movement that we're going to do, this variation of a sun salutation, is going to focus on the back bend. And you can always watch the first round. We've actually done this movement before together. And I'm going to do this from the front, the side view, and as well as turning away from you. And so keep your knees slightly bent here. And we're going to, almost like we're doing the wave, inhale, sweep your arms forward and up. And as you exhale, keep that slight bend of your knees as you wave your arms behind you. Okay, so here's this moment where you have an option to either take your hands to fists at your sacrum on either side, and then rolling your elbows behind you, or flipping your palms so that your fingertips face up towards the back of your ribs. Okay, so those are your two options. Once your hands are placed wherever you would like them, as you inhale, press down into your feet, draw your thigh bones back, and then raise your heart so that your pelvis is moving forward and your thigh bones are moving back. And then exhale, just trace the back line of your legs as you fold forward. So I'm in the middle of my mat only so that you can see me, but you can stay towards the back of your mat if you want. Okay, press down into your feet and we'll do this a little faster. Inhale, come all the way up, sweep your arms forward and up. Exhale, wave your arms behind you and choose the hand placement that you'd like. Once your hands are placed, start to straighten your legs, pubic bone forward, tailbone down, raise your heart. Inhale here. And then exhale, trace the back line of your legs as you fold down. Almost like you were giving yourself a little massage. Good. Let's do one more like that. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up. Again, slight bend of your knees. And then exhale, sweep your arms behind you. And in this moment, inhale. Now start to straighten your legs. Raise your heart and gaze up. And then exhale, fold forward. And then just pause here for a moment. And again, you're at the back of your mat. So I'll acknowledge that. Plant your palms, and maybe you need to bend your knees to do so and gaze forward. And then just start to walk your hands forward towards the front of your mat, coming into a downward facing dog. And if your feet have migrated, just make your way to downward facing dog. And we'll meet there. So that arm pattern, that wave action is going to repeat itself throughout our flow. So in downward facing dog, you can pedal your feet by bending one knee and lowering the opposite heel and switching. Keep lifting your sitting bones up and then rolling the creases of your elbows forward. Pressing down into your palms. And keeping that steady flow of breath. And then pause here. And make sure that your blanket is handy because you might want it close by to pad your knee. We're going to do a number of crescent moon flows, and I notice that sometimes padding is really helpful. Bring your big toes to touch. Anchor your left heel down. And then as you inhale, sweep your right leg up and overhead, three-legged dog. So I'm going to cue each alignment that I would like you to do. Come on to the ball of your left foot. Pull your right thigh in towards your belly. And then as you shift forward, gaze in between your thumbs. So you've got this cat back spine. And now step forward in between your hands. Come into a low lunge position. So that movement, that alignment creates the maximum amount of space under your belly to step forward. And now in this moment, you can pad your left knee as you lower it down. Okay. Make sure that your left thigh is fully rotated down so that your knee is completely down. Okay. Gaze forward. And then from here, tense your fingertips on either side of your right foot. And as you inhale, just start to place one hand, then the other on top of your right thigh. And we're going to do a little pulsation. So as you inhale, press into your right foot and shift your weight back slightly. And then exhale, bend into your right knee. And do this 2 more times. Inhale. And then exhale. So this will be the pattern. And we're just kind of working out our psoas on the left side. Okay, now release your hands by your sides. And as you inhale, sweep your arms forward and up as you shift your weight back slightly. And then exhale, as your arms come down, sink into your right knee. And then you guessed it, you choose hands at fists at your sacrum or flip your palms to face up. And then inhale, raise your heart up as you gaze up. And then exhale, slide your hands down to frame your right foot. And then pick up your back knee. And then step your right foot back to meet your left for a plank position, top of a push-up. Then immediately lower your knees down. I'm gonna move my blanket so it's easier for me to do this. And then draw your hips back slightly. Tip your tailbone up. Walk your hands forward and gaze forward. Inhale, press into your palms. Exhale, deliver your heart and chin towards the earth. Anahatasana. Let's stay here for one complete round of breath on this first cycle through. Gaze forward and shift your weight forward. Lower your forearms down and place your palms to touch so that your pinkies are sealed towards your mat. Step your left foot back and then your right for a forearm plank. Draw your heels back and the crown of your head forward. Gaze towards your thumbs. Inhale here. And then exhale, lower your pelvis down. Untuck your toes. Inhale, press into your forearms and then pull your heart forward and gaze forward. As you exhale, widen your elbows and slide your prayer forward. So you can deliver your nose towards the earth for this pranam, full body bow. Gaze forward and slide your palms on either side of your chest and tuck your toes. And then press up through a hands and knees position. And then we'll all meet in downward facing dog. And of course, I'm cueing hands and knees just because I've got this soreness in my arm, but you can always press up through plank if you'd like. Anchor your right heel down. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and overhead. And then exhale, remember those same alignment cues coming up onto the ball of your right foot, drawing your left thigh in towards your belly, shifting your weight forward and stepping forward in between your hands. Pad your knee as you need to as you lower your right knee down. So this first round, we'll stack our palms on the top of our left thigh. And we'll do 3 rounds of this pulsation. Inhale, press down and shift your weight back. Exhale, bend into your left knee. So it's like a psoas massage. And 2 more. And 1 more. Good. This time we'll do this with our arms. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up. And then exhale, wave your arms down as your hips go down. Take your hands and clasp them behind you. And then inhale, press your palms down, raise your heart and gaze up. And then exhale, lower your palms down. And then you can choose here if you want to press back into a plank position, or I'm choosing to just tuck my left knee underneath me this morning. Draw your thigh bones back and walking your hands forward. Inhale, press into your palms and gaze forward. Exhale, tip your sitting bones up. Deliver your heart and chin towards the earth. Inhale, shift forward. Lower your forearms and palms to touch as you slide forward into a forearm plank. Inhale here. And then exhale, lower your pelvis down, tuck your toes. Inhale, Sphinx Asana, pull your heart forward. Exhale, pranam, widen your elbows and slide your prayer forward. One round of breath here. Slide your hands under your shoulders, tuck your toes, and then press up through a hands and knees position or plank, and then downward facing dog. And so we're gonna do that as our base flow, but we're going to make some changes. So bring your big toes to touch. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and overhead. And I'm not going to cue all of those alignment cues, but please remember them. And as you draw your right thigh in, step forward. Okay. And then pad your left knee as you lower it down. We're all going to do that same flow, but this time as you inhale, sweep your arms forward and up, lift your hips slightly. Exhale, lower your hands and sink down. And then choose the arm variation that you'd like as you take this back bend. Okay, so let's all pause here. We're going to stay for a few rounds of breath, and you can stay exactly as you are, or you can keep your right hand on your sacrum and then sweep your left arm forward and up. Bend your elbow and clasp the nape of your neck. Roll your bicep in and then lean back slightly. And at any point, if you feel like you have to hold your breath to be stable, I want you to come out of this. One more round of breath. Release the back of your head and then wave both arms down to frame your right foot. Slide your right knee underneath you. Tucked toes and walk your hands forward. Press into your palms as you inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, Anahatasana, puppy pose. Inhale, glide forward into a forearm plank, same flow. And then exhale, lower your pelvis down. Untuck your toes. Inhale, Sphinx Asana, gaze forward. Exhale, widen your elbows and slide your arms forward. And breathe here. Slide your palms underneath your shoulders and tuck your toes. Press up through hands and knees. And then downward facing dog. And big toes to touch. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and overhead. Exhale, deliver your left foot in between your hands for a low lunge and then lower your right knee down. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up, lift your hips slightly. Exhale, wave your arms down as you rebend your left knee. One round, inhale, lean back. And then pause, 3 rounds of breath, and you can stay exactly as you are. Or keep your left hand here and sweep your right arm up and overhead. Clasp the nape of your neck, roll your bicep in, and then lean back like you were scooping out your armpit. Then broaden through your collarbones. One more round of breath. You're doing great. Release the back of your head and wave your arms down. Plant your palms. Slide your left knee underneath you. Walk your hands forward. Inhale here. And then exhale, lower down. Inhale, glide forward, forearm plank. And this is merely a transition to come into Sphinx Asana. Lower your pelvis, untuck your toes. Pull your heart forward as you inhale. And then exhale, widen your elbows and slide your palms forward. And we're gonna be here for 3 rounds of breath just to rest. And if you prefer, you can always stack your palms underneath your forehead since we'll be here for a little while longer. You're doing great. Wonderful. Let's add on. Lift your forehead and slide your palms underneath your shoulders and tuck your toes. Press up through hands and knees. And then exhale, downward facing dog. And we're going to do 1 round, but we're going to add on. Big toes to touch. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and overhead. Exhale, right foot in between your palms and lower your back knee. It feels like a Luna practice because we're so close to the earth. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up, raise your hips up. Exhale, wave your arms down. Inhale, take that back bend. And then pause for the exhale. One more round of breath if you would prefer to take that slight back bend, clasping the back of your neck. Release the back of your head and sweep your arms forward and down. Listen carefully. As you plant your hands, step your right knee back to meet your left for a tabletop position. Okay. But now walk your hands back so you're in a more traditional tabletop. Okay, bring your knees and toes towards one another. And if you need to pad your knees, of course, continue to do so. Inhale, raise your left foot up. And we've been here before, but this time you're gonna cross your left knee behind your right. I'll say that again. Your left knee raises up and cross it, tuck it behind your right. Untuck your toes and swivel your heels wide. It looks like this from behind. Okay. And then from here, squeeze your inner thighs and knees towards one another. And then start to sit back into the space behind your shins. Okay, now walk slowly, pad underneath your seat if you need with a blanket or a pillow. And if you come all the way up and you're like, nope, I don't want to be here, straighten your bottom leg so that you can prioritize crossing at your inner thighs like this, okay? Whatever we're going to do, you can do in either variation, okay? So squeeze your inner thighs and knees towards one another, plant your fingertips on either side of you and sit up tall. Clasp the front of your shins or ankles. And we're gonna be upright here just for the moment. Okay, so now, I'm not mirroring you here in this moment, and maybe I should so that it's easier to tell what I'm doing. Okay, so you're gonna take your left hand and sweep it out. And can you lean forward slightly and hook your elbow? And then just start to turn like you were coming into a prayer twist. Okay. Lean back slightly. And you can even bring your palms to touch or create a fist with your left hand and cap your fist with your right. And then keep leaning back and gazing behind you. And the same thing can be done if the bottom leg is straight. One more round of breath here in this Gomukhsan twist. Okay, so release the twist, release the clasp of your hands, whatever you have. Gaze forward so that you can see the front of the room or the screen. Your left hand's now going to straighten and see if you can reach for the inside of your ankle or shin, something. Good. And you can flex your feet or keep them relaxed, it doesn't really matter. And as you inhale, sweep your right arm up and overhead. And then exhale, start to turn forward, sweep your arm down, and now your arms are crisscrossed. And can you grab the opposite shin or ankle? Your arms are crisscrossed, Release your bottom arm now, and then inhale, twist over to the left as you sweep your right arm up, and hopefully you don't have an electronic fireplace behind you that you're knocking into like I am. Exhale, turn forward, and then crisscross your upper arms. And then keep going. And you can do the same thing even if your bottom leg is straight. You're just reaching towards the space where your foot might be. So the next time your left arm is on top of your right, left arm on your right, clasp your shins or ankles, gaze forward, and then exhale, just start to bring your chin towards the cross of your arms. Start to gaze towards your kneecaps. Slowly uncross your arms. So there's a couple ways you can come out of it. If you can safely roll forward and come back into a tabletop, you can. You can also lean back, uncross your legs and just get out of that shape And we'll meet in a downward facing dog. So you choose. And we'll do that sequence on the other side. Anchor your right heel down. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and overhead. Exhale, step forward. Lower your back knee down. And just one round as we inhale, sweep your arms up. And exhale, lower your arms down. Inhale, back bend, gaze up. And stay for the exhale. One round of breath if you would like to raise your right arm and clasp the nape of your neck. And stay for the exhale. Inhale, lower both arms to frame your left foot. For this time, slide your left knee back. Walk your hands back. Okay, so this time your right leg will bend and press your foot up and then tuck your right knee behind your left. Okay, so right knee behind your left, swivel your feet wide, and then start to sit back towards the space behind you. So take your time and make sure you've got the padding you need behind there. And of course, straighten your bottom leg if you need to do so. And I'm going to change so that you can see me. So clasp the front of your shins or ankles and sit up tall. And we'll just breathe here for the moment. And we'll do that same twisting variety that we did before. So take your your right arm and sweep it out. Bend your elbow and then see if you can lean forward and hook your elbow against the outside of your left knee. Lean back slightly and then either hands to a prayer or fist. This is my favorite. And then capping the fist as you lean back. And twist from your low belly. Okay. So now unwind, but keep this hook of your elbow, and then see if you can reach towards your ankle. And then now, sweep your left arm up and overhead. Lean back slightly, and then exhale, sweep your arm down, and reach for the opposite ankle. And we'll just switch. We've been here before, just on the other side. And just remember that as we move, the inhale is unwinding the bottom arm and sweeping it up and overhead. And then exhale is sweeping your arm forward and down. So the next time your right arm is on top of your left, pause with your arms crisscrossed, pull your chin forward slightly, and then bow. Uncross your arms and lean back. And then actually just all of us lean back and uncross your legs, straighten your legs and just give them a little shake. Okay, so I want you to take whatever blanket that you're using. If you're so privileged as to have a small bolster, that would also work, but I don't have one of those at home. So take a blanket and I want you to fold it in such a way that it can be kind of long behind you. So you might want it because we're going to come into a pigeon shape, okay? And I'll show you what this is going to look like. So just have it handy. You might not want it, but it's always helpful to have it, okay? So come back into that tabletop position of your legs. Okay? And again, it's always easier to have the prop than not have it, I find. So you'll take that blanket and you'll place it parallel to the long edge of your mat behind you, okay? So this is where your back leg is going to be. Okay, so come into a tabletop, almost like you were straddling the blanket behind you. Extend your left leg behind you. And then as you lower your back knee, make sure it's fully rotated so you can place your blanket right underneath your kneecap and then untuck your toes. Walk your hands forward and walk your right knee forward so you have space to bring your right foot over to the left, like so. Okay. Walk your fingertips forward and then just start to slide into this shape. And so just assess if you want the blanket to be there or not, and you can always stay upright. So this blanket behind you is less of a padding for your knee, although that's helpful. It's more that because your back leg is elevated, it's less compression for your hip. So it becomes more accessible. So if you want more compression, more of a deepening, just remove the blanket. Start to walk your hands forward. You can lower onto your forearms. I'm going to give you another alternative. Walk your hands towards the left corner of your mat, so away from your kneecap, and then soften your elbows and forearms down. You might feel like your right heel is pressing up against your left hip bone. It's a different sensation in Pigeon. And this is mostly because some of us practice so often that it's helpful to just do some of these shapes in different varieties. And this is something my yin practitioners have done before. And just start to walk your hands towards you and gaze forward. The easiest way to come out of this is leaning to the right and then bringing your left foot up. Let's make our way to Pigeon on the other side. And if you found that you just wanted to hold that for a super long time, just remember that, and you can always come into that shape on your own. So as you straddle your blanket, extend your right leg back behind you, lower your back knee and untuck your toes. And then I always find that it's helpful just to scoot forward slightly so that I have space to swivel my left foot to the right. So my shin is angled. And start by sitting up tall. I feel like you're stretching your belly forward. And then choose, you lower down. If you would like that same kind of side bend, walk your hands now to the top right corner of your mat. And soften your forearms and elbows down. You might find that your left heel now, if you're not on a blanket anymore, is pressing up against your right hip. Come up onto your finger pads. Gaze forward. Lean towards your left hip. Bring your right leg forward. So this is a perfect position to come into for this next shape. So keep your knees bent so that the kneecaps are pointing up. Feet about hips width distance apart. Take your hands behind you. Hands are about shoulder width distance, although it's really difficult to measure. So just do your best. Spread your fingers wide. Gaze forward. So bend your elbows slightly, almost like you were slumping back. And now press into your palms and start to straighten your arms and lift your heart. Straighten your arms as much as you can and lift your heart, but keep your seat down. And then relax. Do that 2 more times. Press into your palms, straighten your arms as you lift your heart. You should feel this as a really big stretch along your biceps, maybe even your triceps. And then relax. And do this 1 more time. I've been doing this a lot because my arms have been super sore. So that's the activation that's required to come into a reverse tabletop. So I'll give you this opportunity. So press into your feet now, lift your heart, straighten your arms and gaze forward. And now maybe you can lift your hips up. And never look behind you. Keep gazing forward or maybe up slightly. Good. And then lower your hips down. Relax by bending your arms slightly. And then now bend your arms so much that your forearms come down. Forearms are about parallel, and then plant your palms, flare your fingers. And so from here, Slump your shoulders, almost like you were tipping your pubic bone up. Now press into your forearms, lift your heart, roll your shoulder blades back and gaze up. You should feel a stretch along the tops of your shoulders. Looks like this. The shirt is not serving this fish asana. I'll do my best. Okay, and then relax. And do that again. Press into your forearms. Bring your pubic bone forward. Gaze up. Almost like you're flaring your rib cage open. And then exhale, relax. Last round, you can do the same thing with your legs, or if you like, you can explore straightening them. One's not better than the other, it's just different. And then press down, lift your heart up. Maybe point your toes. And then exhale, soften. And now make your way all the way down. If your knees are straight, if you straighten your legs, now rebend them and come into a constructive rest position with your feet wide and your knees together. And place your hands at your low belly. Just pause and breathe here for a moment before we do a few more closing and cooling shapes. Just broaden through your collarbones. We did a lot of shoulder work today. Press the back of your heart into the earth. So slowly start to heel toe your feet towards one another. Remain supine, so essentially on your back. You're going to take your hands and you're going to cup your kneecaps. So draw your thighs in, and your knees should fit nicely in the palms of your hands. Allow your toes to kind of just dangle down. So we're going to do a little bit of sacral balancing here. So essentially the key is to make sure that your hands are cupping your knees the whole time. Bend your elbows and draw your thighs in towards your belly. And then press your thighs away from you and straighten your arms. Let your toes dangle. And do this a couple of times. You'll feel your sacrum pressing down as you pulse your thighs in and out. These type of sacral releases are really great if you ever experience any low back discomfort. The next time you push your thighs away, pause. Your arms are straight, toes dangling, hands cupped. And so now, with just your right hand, start to pull your right thigh in towards your belly. And then you'll switch. So now draw your left thigh in, bend at your elbow, and push your right knee away from you. And so just keep going. Alternating now from the right to the left. And again, keep your toes and ankles relaxed. Okay, now push both thighs away from you. Keep your hands clasped. Now you can draw circles with your knees in space, like you are giving your sacrum a massage. And you can start in whatever direction you'd like, whether clockwise or counterclockwise. And I'm going to cue you to switch directions. You should feel like you are moving through the whole space of your sacrum as you circle your knees. And then switch. Draw your thighs back in towards your belly. Scoot your hips 1 inch to the right, and then bring your knees to the left. Just a gentle supine twist. And you can keep your knees stacked for this morning. Roll your right shoulder back. Gaze up or towards the right. If you find in this moment that you want something deeper, you can fully cross your right thigh over the left, but don't feel any pressure to do so that you're pinning your knees. Take your time. Roll onto your back. Scoot your hips towards the middle of your mat as you draw your thighs back in towards your belly. And now, hips to the left 1 inch, knees to the right. Roll your left shoulder back. Gaze up or towards the left. And you have that same option if you want to pin your knees, wrapping your left leg over your right. Roll onto your back whenever you're ready. Draw your thighs in, adjust your hips, and wrap your arms around your shins. You can stay here for a few more rounds of breath. If you'd like, you can also take happy baby, reaching for the outsides of your feet, flexing your toes towards you, and then bending your knees on either side of your rib cage. Release your feet if you have them. Draw your knees back in. And as you wrap your arms around your shins, press your low back down and peel the back of your head up. Bring your nose towards your kneecaps and curl in. And take a deep breath in here. And as you exhale, release your legs out and your arms by your sides for Shavasana. And in this moment, take up space. Allow your body to take up space on your mat. And choose how you would like to position your arms, whether your palms are up or down, by your sides or on your body. As you keep your body relaxed, soften your earlobes away from your shoulders, broaden through your collarbones. And relax the muscles in your face, especially your jaw. And anchor your body down. And I'll call you back momentarily. So you can keep your body relaxed and your eyes closed. Notice the surging flow of breath that pours into your chest and belly. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch your arms up and overhead. Gather your knees in towards your chest and roll to one side. And pause here in a fetal position. Press your palms into the earth and come up to sitting. And once you're seated, swivel your hands on top of your heart. And breathe into the base of your hands. Spread your fingers across your chest. And as we bow our head towards our heart, we honor one another. And when you're ready, lift your gaze